Hi everyone, for tonight's Nightcap and Review, I'm having water, and tonight I'll be discussing Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen. I do have this beautiful physical copy, but I did read the version off of KU. Of course, I'm giving my honest opinion. Here are the highlights and the content warnings. And my rating for this book is a 4.5, so what's it about? So this book contains the story of Rosalina, who has finally found a home in the Enchanted Vale with the four Fae princes. But not everything is a fairy tale, with her enchanted castle falling around her, one of her fated mates refusing to accept their bond, and she still needs to help the two remaining princes whom she loves find their fated mates. And if that wasn't enough to worry about, something is going on with the Spring Realm and its people, and there are even whispers of a war coming that would tear apart the different kingdoms and its princes if they don't figure out what's going on. But when the betrayal hits close to home, the Prince of Spring will need Rosalina's help not just to keep his kingdom in crown, but also to keep him from falling into the pain and darkness he hides beneath his armor. So what are my thoughts? Again, I'm giving this a 4.5. Now, this is the third book in the series, and you do have to read them in order. So if you haven't read the previous two books, or you're a stickler when it comes to spoilers, you may want to skip my review, as I do want to talk about one point that may constitute being a spoiler, even though I'm going to do my best to try and not give away too much, but this is your warning. Now, there's a lot going on in this book, but it does primarily focus on Rosalina, Ezran, who is the Prince of Spring, and his realm. So even though it's a wide choose, I'm mainly going to talk about Ezran and Rosalina and their relationship. Now, with Ezran, we really get to dive deep into what makes up his family and his life, and what we learn is that this is a man who is truly carrying the heavy weight of something emotionally and mentally, and he is truly an honorable man deep to his core. Now, that honor is something that is very strong in his family, so much so that they have a practice that is just to the royal family in the Spring Realm and not the kingdom as a whole. And I will say, I truly try not to judge another culture's practices and beliefs, but this is something that I was okay with in previous books, but I struggled with in this book, because we really get to see the negative impact of having this practice being done. And what I mean is that in this family, the royal family, that at a certain age they wear a metal helm, an armor helm, and they are never to take it off except in the presence of their mate or their family, I believe. But this generation has even taken it a step further, where they, even amongst family, they do not remove it. So the children have never seen their parents' faces, and after a certain point, once they reach this age, Ezran even laments the fact that he's forgotten what his brother's eyes look like. He laments the fact that he's never seen his sick father smile or what his eyes look like. And that's something I struggle with, is that I can never imagine not at a certain point never looking over to my child and seeing them smile. That is something I struggled with, as well as, this is the spoiler, is that someone is drowning. Ezra tries to save them. He's trying to do chest compressions, and it's not enough. So he wants to breathe air into their lungs. Normal, I would think. But just the act of removing his helmet, while there is something later that kind of negates it, at the time when just the act of removing this helmet, he is considered the ultimate dishonor for himself by removing his helmet, even though he is doing this to breathe life and save someone's life. And it starts off a chain reaction to these horrible, horrible consequences that just add upon it. And for me, I just personally would think it's more dishonorable to let someone die when I could do something to save them and just removing my helmet. But again, this is not my cultural practice. I should not judge it, but I just kept thinking to myself, you're just breathing lung to save someone's life. That is much more honorable in my mind. Now, regardless of everything else, Ezra is truly a golden retriever who cares deeply for his people and kingdom and his family, blood and otherwise. But as sweet and honorable as he is, this man knew how to get down dirty with Rosalina. These two had some great chemistry, so don't let the shiny armor fool you. He knows how to get dirty. Now, when it comes to Rosalina, I really enjoyed her in this book because she's really growing in skills and confidence and self-assurance, and I loved it, especially after everything she went through with her ex. And her Fae mates were there to support her, teach her things so that she could grow in skill, and just support her in any way that they could, and I love that. Now, when it comes to the story, a lot happened here. A lot of things were revealed, and a lot of Easter eggs were laid that I am really excited to see play out. There were things that happened in this book that I refuse to accept as a reader, so I need to read the next book almost immediately so I can hopefully get some resolution on those. Overall, I had a really good time reading this book. This book is currently available, and I would recommend it, and I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.